going on, guys? CTG Matt back. You read the title today. I have 5 NBA players on pretty bad teams that I think you should know about and learn about a little bit. My classification for a bad team is a team that is not in the play-in right now at the time of recording. That is, you are below the 10th seed. That's pretty bad in my opinion. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and sub. We're going to get right into it right now. My first player that I have on this list is from the Charlotte Hornets. It is Moussa Diabate. Before the season, Moussa Diabate had played 170 total minutes in his NBA career. That is 2 years before this season. This season alone, Diabate has logged 840 minutes. There's a reason why the Charlotte Hornets were so comfortable looking to trade Mark Williams and Nick Richards at midseason. Of course, Mark Williams got sent back, but he shouldn't have been on the roster is what I'm trying to say. Had he passed the physical, it would have been just Moussa Diabate playing center, and they were comfortable with that. There's a reason. On the surface, you'll only see 6 points and 7 rebounds in 19 minutes per game for Moussa Diabate, but there's more to that story. I'm not really a fan of per 36 numbers all the time because it does a lot of assuming. It assumes that a player playing 15 minutes will get his stats up if you were to up his minute total. It doesn't always work like that. However, if you look at Moussa Diabate's per 36 numbers, reminder he's playing 19 minutes per game currently, you would see per 36 he's averaging 10 points, 13 rebounds, and over 1 steal and 1 block per game. Diabate has very good footwork for a guy of his size. He's very switchable on the perimeter. His defense has shown to be a net positive, with opposing teams averaging 4 less points per 100 possessions with Moussa Diabate on the floor as compared to his other big men counterparts in Charlotte when he shared the floor with Richards or Williams. The Hornets' offensive rating also goes up 4.5 points with Moussa Diabate on the floor, once again compared to the other big men that they have. On top of being a plus player offensively, opponents have a 109.8 offensive rating with Diabate on the floor compared to a 117.5 with Diabate off the floor. He is shown to be a very valuable piece on the defensive side of the ball. He's not quite the same rim protector as a Mark Williams type, but what he is able to do is shuffle his feet on the perimeter, dance with guards a little bit, and he has closing speed, so if somebody blows past him, he still has the closing speed to be able to get a chase down block or a pin. In my opinion, this situation with the Hornets where they have both Diabate and Mark Williams kind of feels like a Capella-Okongwu situation. Of course, Okongwu was a higher touted prospect. He was drafted higher, I think in the lottery by Atlanta. And of course, Capella has the pedigree or more than Mark Williams, but purely based on skill set, Mark Williams is a rolling big man who gets blocks at the rim and finishes, dunks, alley-oops, stuff like that. You'll see with Okongwu, specifically Onyeka Okongwu, he's the switchable big man that can go out and guard 1 through 5, and on top of that, he can still finish at the rim. He just doesn't have the rim protector ability of the Clint Capella. Same thing with Diabate. He's not the rim protector that Mark Williams is, or the rim protector Clint Capella is. However, he's able to go out there. He can shuffle them puppies, as they say. Diabate is more of a raw player, but like I said, the guy only played less than 200 minutes in his first 2 NBA seasons. This is his first extended run in the NBA, and he's looked to be a very valuable piece for the Charlotte Hornets team and a net positive on a team with not many net positives. If you look at his highlight reel, you'll see a ton of hustle plays. He breaks up entry passes very well, and occasionally he gets out on the break. He's 6'10", but he does have a bit of speed on him. I'm not saying he should be handling the ball, but he can handle the ball on the fast break. I've seen him do it a couple of times, actually. 6'10", switchable big man with a 7-foot or a little bit bigger than 7-foot wingspan. He should be a very fun player for the future with this Hornets team. Him and LaMelo will be a fun pairing, and especially with how bad defensively they are. The fact that he's a plus defender on a very bad defensive team, he can cover a lot of gaps and stuff like that they have in their roster. Very valuable piece. Charlotte's not doing great right now, but Moussa Diabate is a player to look forward to if you are a Hornets fan. Number 2 on this list, I have Keyshawn George from the Washington Wizards. Fun fact, Keyshawn George is actually one of 3 active NBA players born in Switzerland. He is the 5th NBA player ever born in Switzerland as well. Since the turn in the new year, Keyshawn George has had 3 games with 3 or more steals and 3 games with 2 or more blocks. Reminder, this is a guard doing this. Of course, he's a little bit bigger than the guard. He's a really big guard. I think he projects better as a 2 or a 3. He's not a 1. I don't think he plays there very much, if at all. But I'd say he could round out well at the 3. He's another guy where if you look at the stat sheet, you check Basketball Reference, and you see, okay, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 2.5 assists. What's there to see here? Heck, you might even look at the splits. I'll admit, the splits are very ugly. 36, 31, 75 shooting splits. But remember, this guy's a very raw rookie. 21 years old at the time of recording in his first NBA season. But what impresses me is that Keyshawn George is in the 90th percentile for block rate, while also, in my opinion, getting a horrendous whistle. Of course, getting a better whistle in the NBA comes with becoming a veteran and just spending more time in the league and getting that reputation of being a plus defender. Right now, Keyshawn George doesn't have that, so he gets some pretty bad fouls called on him. Most defensive-minded young players have issues with fouling in the beginning, so I'm not really too worried about that. But George is also in the 78th percentile in opponent effective field goal percentage, and opposing teams shoot about 2% worse with Keyshawn George on the floor. That includes opposing teams shooting 6% worse from the corner when George is there. He's closing out the corners very well. That can also be a cause of him just not letting his man past him. He plays very good on-ball defense, ergo, you're not going to get as many kick-out corner threes when you're staying in front of your man and not allowing dribble penetration to begin with. Moving away from just defense, the Wizards' offensive rating is also 4 points better with Keyshawn George on the floor compared to off. Obviously, this Wizards team is terrible with or without Keyshawn George, but again, we're looking for bright spots here in otherwise not very bright areas. The Wizards have done a very not great job at player development over the last few years, but here's to hoping Keyshawn George can break that mold and be their next blue chip. Not really. I don't even know if he's a blue chip, but he can be a very valuable piece on this team. 6'7", almost a 7-foot wingspan as well. He's very big, lanky, athletic, and that's kind of what we're looking for in the modern day NBA. A wing that has length, can kind of shoot. He can't shoot yet, I'm going to be honest. 31% from three. Not really a shooter quite yet, but again, he's a rookie. He was a 24th overall pick and was considered a rather raw prospect anyways. So at this point, I'd say you should be happy with what you've been getting out of Keyshawn George, considering 24th pick, very raw prospect. There was not really many expectations for him to start this season, and to see him be a net positive on defense and offense on a team that is all around bad, that's a positive sign. You always like to see a guy hustling when it doesn't always pay off. You know, like chasing that ball into the front row might not be as valuable on a 12th seed team as it is on a 1 seed team. However, you can see that he still wants to win games despite the front office not really wanting to win games. So Keyshawn George, big salute to him. He's been a net positive on a team with almost 0 net positives this season. Now, this next team isn't really per se bad. They've actually been quite good recently. They're trying to get back on their winning streak. The player is Toumani Camara from the Portland Trailblazers. Toumani Camara is not really underrated if you're in the know of the NBA. You recognize this guy is a lengthy wing / big. He can be a small ball 5 in my opinion. I think he's done it before, and he's not really a secret anymore. He's very switchable, but however, to the common casual NBA fan, they probably haven't watched many Portland Trailblazers games this year. Let me put you on game. Another fun fact, Toumani Camara is one of 6 players in NBA history born in Belgium, including 4 active currently. Like I said, Camara is not much of a secret anymore if you're in the know of the NBA fans. But I think most of us recognize that he is an underappreciated / kind of underrated defender, and he has a little bit of an offensive game that's growing every season. But like I said, the casual fan probably doesn't watch many Portland Trailblazers games, so we can expand on this more. The defensive game is always going to be there. We could talk about his great defense, but I'm going to start off with the offense. He's shooting 37% from 3 total on the season, which is a pretty good mark for a guy that was a bad shooter just a season ago. He's also 39% on non-corner threes. Of course, as a role player, a guy who's not going to be featured, not going to be getting the ball a ton, not going to have the ball in his hands a lot, you have to be able to knock down that corner three. That should be the next step in his development. However, just seeing the ball going in general shows positive signs. Any progression is good for this Portland Trailblazers team that's so young. 37% from 3 on the year is a pretty good mark when, like I said before, 33% was his finishing mark last season. So any progression is good. Kamara's effective field goal percentage went from the 28th percentile last season all the way up to the 59th percentile this season, so he's definitely getting better in the offensive game. On the surface, you'll see 10.5 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, while also averaging 1.5 steals and almost a block per game as well. Those are really good regular stats, but we can talk more about the advanced stuff now. Kamara's defense isn't as elite as last season, but I think with the developing offensive bag that he has, of course you're going to see more moments where he's lax defensively, just because you'll see him putting in way more effort on the offensive side of the ball, being a cutter. They use him as a screener a lot now, which I really like as well. Shout out Chauncey for that one. His rebounding's been a nice help to a team that has, I'm going to be honest, very in and out center play. Obviously, they have 3 good to decent center play, Ayton, Rob, and Klingon. However, none of them consistently play. Ayton's missed a good amount of time. Robert Williams just doesn't stay on the court. And Klingon's on a minutes restriction. He has really been all season. I don't know if he's crossed 30 minutes yet. So seeing Kamara be able to go down there and crash the glass and help, definitely a good sign. Kamara is in the 76th percentile for points per 100 possessions. So again, he shuts down very well. He's a very, very handsy defender, active. Don't dribble around him is basically the long way of what I'm saying. Don't dribble around him. He will take it. And then don't throw basic passes. He clears off entry passes to like big men. If you try and throw an entry pass down to a big man, he'll break that up. He makes it hard to score. I kind of view Toumani Camara as like a lefty John Isaac sort of player, maybe a little bit better offensively because Isaac's in like year 8 and he still hasn't developed very much offense, but Kamara's offense is slowly getting better. You see reverses every once in a while. He knows how to attack the basket. He can dunk the ball very hard. He's 6'10 with like a 7-foot wingspan. Now on top of that, he's making threes, and I think that was the biggest point of his development was he needed to start making threes, and they're going in now at least a respectable clip. We'll see what his clip ends at the end of the season, but he has been a very net positive shooter on top of being a already elite defender. This guy's going to be a very big building block for this Portland team moving forward. It makes their wing position look very good as well. Of course, the guards and the bigs. It's like a kibosh of a team. I don't even know how to describe it. I don't even know if kibosh is a word. All right, but they have like 4 good guards and 3 good centers. And now they also have like 3 good wings with Grant, Avdia, and Kamara. And Chris Murray's even played respectably well this season. Of course, his on-game averages haven't looked great, but Kamara, very good defender. I'd say one of the better defenders in the league currently, but he just doesn't get talked about a ton. I just wanted to talk about him in this video. Of course, if you're in the know, like I said, if you are an avid NBA viewer, you know who Toumani Camara is and you respect his defense. But for most people, East Coast, you don't watch the late night Portland Trailblazers games. They start late. I understand that. But if you ever want to sit down and watch some good defense and watch a very active on-ball defender, Toumani Camara is your guy. And like I said before, I like that Chauncey Billups is using him as a screener and kind of playing him as a big man, quote unquote. He is like 6'10", so he can do it. He's getting stronger. I think, at least in my opinion, I'm not sure if I could find anything on that, but it looks like he got stronger between his rookie and sophomore seasons. I believe Portland also got Kamara from the Nurkic trade. That trade is going to be, it's a fleece already. In my opinion, that trade was a fleece, but getting Toumani Camara out of it, which, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. Getting Toumani Camara out of that deal automatically makes it worth it because Nurkic was a net nothing for Phoenix. So shout out to Portland. They're young. They're getting better. Like I said, they're not really a bad team. They're very respectable. They show up to the arena night in and night out on a team in a year that was supposed to be a tank year. They're slowly turning it around and building blocks for next season. This team could be fierce within the next 2 seasons. You could see a real rise of Portland back into like kind of contendership. The 4th player I have on this list, I tried not to include rookies. However, I'm finding myself including a rookie because any chance I can get to glaze my guy, I'm gonna. It's Modest Buzelis from the Chicago Bulls. Modest can hoop. Did he stink up the dunk contest? Absolutely, yeah, it was ugly. He was not very good in the dunk contest. No denying that. However, in real games, Modest has anything but stinky. Since 1/15, January 15th, that's over a month's sample size, Buzelis is averaging 10.5 points, 3.5 rebounds, and over 1 block per game. I'll take this as a positive instead of a negative, although his splits aren't the prettiest. If you compare his shooting splits to his rookie counterparts, it's probably one of the best. 43, 35, 82 shooting splits. That's pretty decent for a rookie considering. Go look at like Zach Reese-Shay's splits. They get ugly in this class. As aforementioned, I don't really like using per 36 numbers because, like I said, it does a lot of assuming. It does a lot of guesswork. But if you look at per 36 numbers for Buzelis, you'd see 15.5 points, 7 rebounds, and 2 blocks per game. Of course, it does a lot of assuming. 15.5 points is very achievable for him, though, and he didn't start getting extended PT until, like, the start of the new year because the Bulls, in the beginning of the season, thought that they could actually get a good, talented roster out of Vooch, Levine, and them. Bad decision, but now that they're all gone, Modest, well, not all gone, Vooch is still there. But Modest is getting extended burn now. I believe he's actually begun starting, like in the starting lineup, which is good because Pat Williams was starting over him for a while, and Pat Williams is bad. Like really bad. Like I said, his efficiency isn't pretty. He's a slightly below average shooter. He has a 97 3-point plus. If you're from, I'm a baseball guy, all things considered. I like the plus stats, you know, ERA plus, OPS plus for baseball. You see 97 3-point plus. That means 100 is considered league average. He is a 3 points below average 3-point shooter, which isn't bad. Opponent offensive rating with Modest Buzelis off the court is 118.2. That's disgusting. Over 118 points is crazy, but with Buzelis on the floor, it goes down to 113.6. That's almost a 5-point drop off just when Modest checks in. Again, he checks the boxes of what you're looking for in a modern NBA player: length and athleticism. He has both. He is 6'10". I think they list him at like 6'10". I don't know if I believe that. I think he's like a 6'9". But he does have a almost 7-foot wingspan and a max vertical at 38 inches, for Christ's sake. When you can jump out of the gym, have very long arms, and can kind of shoot, it makes you valuable automatically. He also has a very high basketball IQ for a player of his age. You see a lot of rookies and young players his age make a lot of mistakes, especially, I'm going to be honest, coming from the G League Ignite team. That G League Ignite team got disbanded for a reason. They weren't teaching very good fundamentals. He doesn't make the same rookie mistakes that you see out of other guys in his class. That's very good to see. He knows his role. He knows how to space the floor. He can hit a corner three on occasion, and on top of that, he plays really good defense. Of course, just like every other rookie, he kind of gets hosed on the whistles. You'll see him foul a ton. Not really his fault. You just can't play physical as a rookie. They don't let you because you don't have the rapport reputation. Yes, on this channel, we hate Jerry Reinsdorf. We do. Trust me, it's a running theme here. We do not like Jerry Reinsdorf around here. However, it seems, in my opinion, on draft night, I said that the Bulls aced the draft, picking Modest Buzelis. And it looks like they kind of did do well. He's starting off way better than Pat Williams did, let's be fair. We love Modest Buzelis. His middle name's Arvydas for a reason. You know, he comes from a basketball background, so his parents taught him how to play the game the right way. That's not just me calling him white, I'm going to be honest. Every time you say he plays the game the right way, it sounds like you're just calling him white. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm saying he's a smart basketball player. The more I say it, the more it just sounds like I'm calling him white. I don't know. Shout out Modest Buzelis. Hopefully he can avenge himself in the dunk contest next year or something, because that was not a very pretty performance. However, he did have a perfect game right before the All-Star break. I'm assuming you saw that by now. He shot like 10 for 10 from the field. That's an amazing game automatically. And on top of that, over a block a game as a rookie, man. He challenges players at the rim a lot. Can jump out the gym. A lot of value there. We love Modest on this channel. He's not going to win Rookie of the Year. If he got extended burn, I think he'd be in the running more, though. Number 5, last player of the video. I mentioned him in an awards video earlier this season. I'm going to mention him again because he's playing in a miserable situation right now, and he's been a very positive player for the last, like, 3 years with them, despite, honest to God, he needs to get away from that team. It's Colin Sexton from the Utah Jazz. Young bull ain't much of a young bull anymore, huh? He's almost a veteran on this team. I mean, he is, what, 26 or something like that? And I don't like hearing that. Why? Simply because it feels like last week we remembered him doing 5-on-3 against number 14 Minnesota when he was still in Alabama. Yeah, man, he's in year 7. That's wild. Remember when he dropped, what was it, 40 on Kyrie in the Kyries in like his sophomore year? Wild times when it was Sexland. Does anyone remember that backcourt, Sexland? It's been a while since I've heard that one. Colin Sexton's averaging 18.5 points, 4 assists, and about a steal a game on 48, 41, 89.5 splits. 41% from 3 is a career high, I believe. Sexton's also taking 4.6 3-point attempts per game, a career high as well. So he's taking a career high in volume from 3, but also hitting a career high in volume from 3. It's translating well. His offensive bag is growing. Remember at the beginning of the career, Colin Sexton was not a very good shooter. I remember a couple of seasons where he was low 30s, maybe even high 20s. It was an inefficient, bad shot for him, and we thought he was a get-to-the-rim guard. Now it appears that he can shoot that 3. Sexton's also shooting 47% from mid-range, which is good enough to put him in the 80th percentile of mid-range shooting. Again, very respectable offensive bag now. He can shoot from anywhere. Weirdest part is that his rim finishing has gone down, but if I'm being completely honest, I think this is more of a spacing issue than a Sexton issue. You really think about it, he's playing a lot of minutes with like Kyle Filipowski and Walker Kessler on the court together with like Keontae George. There's not a ton of spacing in Utah right now unless they're playing Svi Mikhailuk, which they've been doing for some reason. Shout out Svi Mikhailuk. He's been very decent this year, but this isn't about Svi. It's about Colin. Colin has made his team better on both the offensive and defensive side of the ball for the last like 2 seasons, if I'm being honest. Offensively, the Jazz's offensive rating goes up 5 whole points while Colin Sexton is on the floor. 5 whole points better is kind of ridiculous. Defensively, it's kind of interesting because he hasn't always been the most plus defender in the world. As a matter of fact, he was a net negative for a couple of seasons of his career, and it makes sense. Starting off his career especially, he was a 6'2" guard who was kind of small for his size. He was going to get pushed around a little bit. It just makes sense because of his shorter stature. However, the stats this season show that the defense is 3.5 points per 100 possessions better with Colin Sexton on the floor. He's been a net positive defender on a team with not many net positive defenders. Take that stat with a grain of salt, though, because the Jazz just isn't good normally, so any improvement's good. You know what I mean? When the baseline is this low, it's not, you know, it's improvement getting it up to here, but the baseline is still just so low. It's kind of simple to improve. Young Bull now really just plays the 2 guard now next to Keontae George, which I think helps Keontae George in my opinion. He gets to soak up some knowledge from a guy who did play the 1 that transferred over to the 2. And I think it also helps Keontae with having a tough shot maker. Sexton's a guy who you can give a grenade to and he'll make something happen. A grenade is if you pass the ball to him within the last like 5 seconds of the shot clock. I'd say somewhere around 4 seconds. You hand Colin Sexton a grenade, he can make something of it. Here's the funniest split I saw when looking at Colin Sexton's game logs. You'll see that across the board, he is just better on the road than he is at home. At home, Sexton's shooting splits are 46, 36, 91. Very respectable shooting splits, but remember, he's a 42% shooter and you're seeing 36% at home. But when he's on the road, Sexton's field goal percentage in 3 jumped up to 49.5 from the field, 44 from 3, 88 from the line. Those are crazy efficient splits. 44%, that is an 8-point jump from 3-point land when he's on the road versus home. I don't get it. Of course, the main thing that everyone, including me, loves about Colin Sexton is his nonstop aggression and effort. Up 20, down 20, you get the same Colin Sexton. And I think that is something that I love about his game. People always talk about lazy NBA players and stuff like that. Colin Sexton is the opposite. He is the opposite of that. He will be hustling whether he's up 20 or down 20. He knows, you know, one opportunity type of stuff. I thought he was playing his trade value up at the mid-season point, but they didn't even look to move him. The word quit is not in Colin Sexton's lexicon, I'll just say. And honestly, I love that for a guy who is on a terrible team that is kind of trying to lose. The fact that he has no quit in him, the fact that he keeps that non-stop aggression going, whether, you know, the team is 20 games under 500 or 20 games over 500, you get the same Colin Sexton, and I love that about him. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to catch you again. See you guys in the next one.